3 things that every student needs to know before starting university. Why did you end up choosing UCL? What's your experience as an Asian student in London? This person said, is uni hard? Girl, you have no idea. Hello everybody, welcome. I hope you are all well. My name is Fatima. I am a second year politics and international relations student here at UCL, and today's video is going to be a Q&A on student life. So a few days ago I asked you guys over on Instagram what questions you have for me in terms of what you wish you knew before you attended university, or even topics that you wish fellow students would talk more about. So I'm going to go through as many of those questions as I can, and I'm going to answer them as quickly as I can and as honestly as I can. I really want this to be a realistic depiction of a UCL student's life and to really demonstrate that we're going through a tough time and not everything is going to be perfect all the time. So let's get right into it. Sajod says, how has student life changed during COVID, the pros and cons? What could universities do better? So obviously student life has changed a lot since COVID. All of the content that we study is now online. So lectures, seminars are all online. Any live talks that we are supposed to have, they're online too. So I think that's the biggest change, of course, for everybody. Kind of being at home, spending your days in your room, talking to people through a screen. And I think the lack of human contact can also have a big effect on your well-being, because you don't really see your friends or your classmates or your professors. So it is really, really weird. As for what I think universities could do better, of course, I feel like, hint hint, most students at all universities, and I know at UCL, are waiting to hear about a no detriment policy. So I think that that would take a huge weight off the shoulders of students, and hopefully UCL will go ahead with that. Okay, so Orzo says best study spots. My top 3 would be the basement in the student centre. I think I spent a lot of my time in the basement last year. That sounds weird. I would say my number 2 would be, I think it's the 10th floor of Torrington Place. I really like that, especially on days where it's like really quiet. You kind of get this scenic view of London. And my 3rd favourite study spot would probably be the law library in UCL's main library, just because you kind of get this feeling of being at UCL. I know that sounds so weird, so I would say that the law library is my 3rd favourite study spot, if you can find a space, because that's really popular and the law students don't really like to share. So if you can get space there, I would recommend you trying it out. So somebody else said, what things do I need to bring with me when I move into my accommodation? I have a video over on my channel that basically covers everything that you need and the things you don't need when you move into uni accommodation. There will be a link below in the description box to my channel. Check that video out. So we have another question that says, how do you maintain a healthy diet and sleep pattern due to its effect on your mental health as well? I'm going to be totally honest here. My sleeping pattern is horrendous. It is horrendous. I'm not one of these people that can say, unfortunately, that I wake up at 7, 8 a.m. and I go on a walk and I have a little workout and I have a healthy breakfast. That's just not me. I really struggle with sleep, and it's something that I feel like since the start of the new year I've really been trying to get together, but it's been a huge challenge for me. In terms of healthy diet, I'm generally a healthy eater. I always have been. I just don't crave junk food, if that makes sense. So it's not a conscious decision to be healthy. And actually one of the tips I would give actually for healthy eating would be to cook your own food. So if you're somebody that usually gets takeout, and usually takeout is unhealthy food, you should try cooking for yourself. If you're someone like me that hates cooking, I promise it gets easier over time, and over time you actually start to enjoy it. Is it better to move out for uni or stay at home? So I moved out for uni. In first year I lived in UCL accommodation. This year I live in a flat in central London with a friend of mine. I would say that it's always better to move out for university. That's just my opinion. I just wanted to move out, be in close proximity to campus, be able to walk home in 5-10 minutes, to a safe environment with my friends and just kind of have my own, lead my own life. Okay, the next question is personal statement tips and interview tips and best way to get internships. By the way, you are really inspiring. Oh, thank you. So in terms of personal statement tips, again, if you go to the link in the description box to my channel, I do have an entire video on how to write a personal statement, and I've also included a structure that you guys can follow if you're struggling. In terms of the best way to get internships, I mean, I'm currently in the process of applying to internships, applying to grad jobs, all I would say is try, keep trying, and don't be selective. So if you know what kind of sector and industry you want to be working in, apply for everything and anything. Every single opportunity you see, apply for it. And actually, if you don't have much experience, I would say apply for open days, insight days, things like that before you actually start applying for the big internships, because doing the former will give you kind of content to put into your cover letters and your applications, etc. Is there sufficient help available for students who are unsure about life post-graduation? So at UCL, I would say there is a lot of support both within my department, the Department of Political Science, and also from our careers team. A lot of people seem to not make enough use of the careers department, which is mind-blowing to me. I was also paired with a mentor through a UCL Careers Extra scheme, so that's been a huge help for me. So I would say that there are ways that UCL can help you, but you actually need to find out what those resources are and make use of them. Okay, so a question from Isaac: did you consider other unis and why did you end up choosing UCL? What helped me choose UCL was, and I know this is going to sound really wishy-washy, but I actually came to visit UCL. It was literally the first London university I had visited, and I walked onto campus, this was 3 years ago, and I just had a gut feeling, and I know that sounds super wishy-washy, but it's the truth. I just had this gut feeling and I thought, I think I'll be happy here. And I then did research into UCL, and of course it's one of the highest ranking universities in the world, in the country. It's #1 in London. Rankings aren't everything, but they can inform your opinion. I knew that UCL were doing the course that I was passionate about, that was politics, and I also loved London. So I think it was an amalgamation of all those reasons. There are a few questions about joining societies. This one says, are joining societies worth my time? Yes, absolutely. I would say joining societies are absolutely worth your time. Societies are a great way of making friends and acquaintances outside of your course. And of course, doing that in and of itself is good practice because you get to meet people from, you know, different courses, different backgrounds, and that can really help you, well, first of all, make friends and have good company during your time at uni, but also help you become a more well-rounded person, kind of step out of your comfort zone and meet new people. And also, I would always say, because I have personal experience with it, if there is something you're really, really passionate about and UCL doesn't have a society to accommodate you, then start your own. What's the work-life balance like? Lol. Okay, I'm not gonna lie to anybody. The workload at UCL is a lot. We have a lot of work to do, and this is kind of like the running theme across all courses, so it kind of doesn't matter what course you're on. If you're at UCL, your workload is going to be immense. I said at the beginning of this video, I'm gonna answer these questions honestly. Sometimes it can get really overwhelming, sometimes it can get too much, and I would say when it does get overwhelming, when it does get too much, you should do two things. Lean on your course mates. I have difficulty doing that because I do generally find it difficult asking for help, but it is something that you must do. Like, you can't do everything on your own. And number two, don't be afraid to ask for help from your department or your personal tutor, because at the end of the day, you pay for your education. And so if the help is there and if the aid is there, then take it. Sabrina says, what skills have you gained during your academic years that aren't academic? So I would say that because of my role in the Afghan Society, I've been forced to work on my delegation skills. I always knew that that wasn't something that I'm particularly good at, but when you're kind of running a committee, you're kind of forced to delegate tasks. I don't think many people would call this a skill, but I would call this a skill. Self-care and taking care of yourself. I wasn't always good at that. I didn't really make time to just chill and just relax and put on a face mask and have a hot shower. Because I have such a huge workload at uni, I've kind of been forced to, when I do have the opportunity to kind of really offload, reflect on what's been happening, reflect on how I feel, and really to, again, devise a plan to recuperate, especially after deadlines. Because how you feel after a deadline is brutal. Okay, Zara said, what's your experience as an Asian student in London? So UCL is quite a diverse university in terms of kind of ethnicity and race and nationality. That's why we're called London's Global University. But I would say that one thing that UCL does lack in its student body would be financial diversity, if that's even a word. I do think that as time goes by, you can get bogged down if you are from kind of like a working class background, or you went to state school, or you lived and grew up in an area that just doesn't look like London and doesn't look like UCL. I feel like sometimes for some people that can be an unnerving feeling. I would say embrace your individuality. It's what makes you different, and if you embrace it, a lot of people will actually admire you for it. If you can do that, regardless of your ethnicity, religion, sexual orientation, your dress sense, it doesn't matter. If you can own those parts of yourself, then you will be fine, and people will admire and respect you for it. The next question is 3 things that every student needs to know before starting university. 1, you don't have to complete every single reading in order to get a good grade. I would always encourage you to do your readings. They're really important, especially for discussion points in seminar. Just understand that you don't need to do every single piece of reading in order to get a good grade. I would say number 2, start thinking about internships and grad opportunities earlier on. Not in terms of like actually going through the application process, although if you want to, then that's fine, but more so kind of trying to gain an insight into the industries that you're interested in and what it's actually like to work in those industries. So again, open days, insight days. So really just starting to kind of think about your options after university. I would say you should know that that's something that you have to do before coming to university. And number 3, it's okay to feel a little bit lonely when you first come to university, and a little bit lost and a little bit overwhelmed, and actually everybody feels like that to a certain extent. So don't feel weird for not completely 100% loving university within the first few weeks. Again, you'll adjust and things will get better. Okay, so I've answered as many questions as I can. If you're a current UCL student, then I'd love to know how your experience is similar or different to mine. And if you're a prospective student, then I hope that you've learned something new about UCL and university life in general. And regardless of who you are, I hope you've enjoyed watching this video. And if you have enjoyed watching this video, then check out my personal YouTube channel, Fatima, for more content. Thank you so much for watching, everybody, and I'll see you in my next video.